Welcome to an enlightened hour of interactive talk. This is Guided Spirit Conversations with host Marla Goldberg. In this program, we spotlight guests from all over the globe who have helped others change their lives and will provide you with the tips, tools, and techniques that you need to help you make a difference in your own life. Now, here is Marla Goldberg.
Hello, everyone. How are you doing today? It's Thursday, and I'm so happy to be here with you. We had to have a replay last week because I came down with COVID, but I'm grateful that I am up and about and feeling great, and I am no longer infectious. So thank you for the good wishes for the people who saw my live and sent them to me. I appreciate you. Today, the topic, signs, synchronicity, and spirit talk with my dear friend, psychic medium, Sheri Jewel. So Sheri is a psychic medium. She does galleries. We're going to share her experiences, her synchronicity, her signs. We're going to share what I have in my life. I have to admit, I have not had those very cool signs that you can talk about or put into the book like Sheri's going to share with you. But we're going to discover what mine is through the conversation. Feel free to call in 888-346-9141 to share your signs, your synchronicities, and your spirit talk with Sheri and myself, or to ask Sheri a question. So welcome, Sheri Jewel.
Thank you, Marla. Thanks for having me again.
Always so fun to have you on. And we're doing it different this time. So when Sheri was kind enough to agree to come on the show last minute, because due to COVID, my trip that I was supposed to be on to renew my wedding vows has been postponed. And so Sheri was gracious enough to say, yeah, I'll come on, we can talk. And together we came up with the topic that we're talking about. And so this is a highly organic conversation. And
the best ones.
Pardon me?
They're always the best way when they're just organic and not planned.
I agree. And so we'd love your input. We'd love for you to share with us your signs, your synchronicities, or have a conversation with us. So anyway, Sheri, let's talk about, because you were sort of like bonked on the head with a bunch of synchronicities as you were awakening to your abilities. Let's talk about that.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, I had a crazy ride. My journey was very fast and very extreme. I guess it's just the time the soul is supposed to wake up. And I was just a mom, doing the mom thing and not working, not doing anything. And then I guess we're going to have to get into spiritual awakening a little bit, right?
Yes.
It's very common, not always, but often a spiritual awakening will happen after, I don't know, it could be grief, divorce, financial, some hardship, right?
Some challenge, a big challenge in one's life.
Yeah. Where, or you hear like a drug addict hitting rock bottom, or someone's put in jail and they find God. It's one of those kind of things.
And I call it your on your knees moment.
That's it. It's kind of like somebody help me, God help me, whatever you believe in, right?
Yes.
And, I had a lot of things, like my child was sick for like a year. My dad got paralyzed from cataract surgery. And it was just, I would start like, and I really basically had a perfect life just destroyed. And I would handle one thing and then another thing would hit me. It was just ridiculous. And finally, did I go through depression? Did I go through anxiety? 100%. But I can actually look back on it with gratitude now because it brought me to where I am now. It's what it took to break my heart open to get to my soul, open my gifts, open my connection, the connection to angels and divine. And once that happened, life became like a magic carpet ride, so if I can like tell anybody anything, it's like, if this could happen to me, because I'm no perfect person, if this could happen to me, it can happen to anybody.
Right. And it's true. You were sharing some amazing synchronicities. You had 4 things happen in one day that you're right before, like the big, the animals, the hummingbird in the head.
And then the possum just popped in my head too. So yeah, before I knew what the heck was going on, what I actually remember, I was with my son outside. He was like 12 at the time. So this has got to be like 10, 12 years ago, something like that. And I had 2 dogs and I let the dogs out. I have a fenced in yard and they're barking, going crazy. And I'm like, what are you guys barking at? So I go out there and there was a possum sitting on top of my 6-foot fence. So I'm like, usually a possum plays dead. And if you walk away, it will run away. So when we get like signs from animals, I believe it's when the animal does something weird. Don't look for it. So this possum was weird. He was sitting on top of the fence. So I like screamed, grabbed the dogs, got the dogs in the house. And I go back out there and he's still sitting on the fence. And I'm like, okay, this is weird. And this is before I knew I was spiritual or any of this was happening to me.
Right.
And he stood on that fence for like 20 minutes, just staring at me and like creeped me out. Like I was getting goosebumps and stuff. So I got my camera. I mean, I have photo proof. I took a picture. I got my son. I'm like, look at this. This is so weird. And anywhere I walked, this thing would be like, looking at me.
Following you.
Yeah, it was creepy because his eyes were like penetrating through me. And I actually walked up to it, like, well, maybe 2 feet away. And I actually talked to it. And I said, okay, Mr. Possum, you're freaking me out. You need to go on the other side of the fence. God is my witness, Marla. This thing looked at me, listened, and went down the back of the fence. And I'm like, what am I, Dr. Doolittle now? Like, what is this? I mean, it's weird, right? So then while it was over the side of the fence, I said, okay, if you're a sign from spirit, you come back tomorrow and be on the same exact spot on the fence. I completely forgot about it. Next day, take the dogs out, they're barking again. I'm like, what are they barking at now? Completely forgot about this possum. The possum was there the next day in the same spot. Okay. So that's what I mean when you get a sign from an animal. It's something weird that the animal does. Okay.
Right.
And then not soon later, excuse me, my voice is hoarse. Not soon later, same summer, I went outside and I was sitting at my patio table and a little white butterfly flew up. Okay. And I'm like, okay, it's a little white butterfly. That's weird. Whatever, All of a sudden it lands at my feet and it wouldn't leave. It was there for like 10 minutes. I'm waving in my hand at it, going like this and stuff. This thing would not fly away. Okay. That's weird, right?
Unusual. Definitely.
Yes. I actually got off my chair, sat on the floor with it, and I'm talking to it, like sitting pretzeled up on the floor. And I'm like, what are you doing? And it wouldn't go away. And so I would say it stayed with me about 10, 15 minutes. So then later in that day, I looked out the window, the dogs are barking again. There was a skunk sunbathing in my backyard in the day. Skunks are nocturnal. They're not out in the day. He laid there for like an hour. I'm like, what is with all these animals? And then what happened after the skunk? I went out to get my mail, and right at my front door, like I have a, what do you call it, like a stoop or whatever.
Yeah.
So I went and got my mail. I sat on my stoop for some reason to go through the mail. And I looked down and there was a feather. I'm like, okay, well, that's weird. Then I went back outside in my backyard. I didn't even get out there. I opened up my like sliding like patio doors, the glass doors.
Yes.
I never see hummingbirds at my home ever. Okay. This hummingbird, and they're fast. They can dodge you. They don't have to hit you in the head. Okay. Because they can zoom them by like any way they want. And it flew right into my forehead and like grazed my forehead. And I just threw my hands up in the air. I said, okay, God, what the hell's going on? And then my journey just started and the gifts opened up and angels came, the dreams came, the synchronicities came. And it's just us having to have that awareness to notice them.
Right.
People that spiritual awakening will start saying 111 is really the most common thing I would say at the beginning.
Yes. Yeah. Or 555 is big too.
Yeah. I mean, there was a time for like a month, I got woken up every day for a week at 111. Then the following week, 222. And this got to like 444. And I finally said, I get it. Will you let me sleep? So, and then all people have to do is Google, 111 angel number or 111 meaning, whatever you believe.
Multiple numbers, multiple angel numbers, multiples, something like that. Yeah. And I don't have many books with me where I'm staying temporarily, but I did bring this one. So it's Angel Numbers 101 by Doreen Virtue, which basically, because we do have reoccurring numbers, and it doesn't even have to be multiples. You might see 274 over and over and over again.
Well, your birth date, it could be anything, or the deceased person's birth date,
Right. And you can look at this angel, but and this is, I mean, I didn't expect to be talking about Doreen Virtue's book, but let me say, for those who can see the live stream because I'm in blurry, but you can find out what the meanings are.
Or they could
And
just
in this,
Google, they could Google it for free also.
you can Google it for free, yes. But you know, this is like a pocket guide that I take with me because I see numbers all the time. Those
Yeah,
are my
like-
synchronicities.
For the last few months, I've been seeing 444. But you know, a lot of people get really excited when they start seeing these numbers, okay? Or other signs. The trick is don't look for it. If you're looking for it, it's not a sign. You know what I mean? It's when you're randomly reading a book and then you look all of a sudden at your phone or glance up at a clock. You know, you're not looking for that number or that time or sign.
Right.
It's really random. It's just like all of a sudden you're just going to glance up and it's there.
Right. And numbers are so cool because they really do have some amazing meanings. And so if you see a series of numbers, I don't care if it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 1, 1, 1, 8, 8, 8, 8, or 8, 8, 8.
Right.
Check out what it is and see what the meaning is, because it's trying to tell you something. And that's what we talk about spirit talk, how we take these signs, how we take these synchronicities and pull them into the whole spirit talk conversation.
Yes.
And that's what it is. And it's about finding out. So if an animal like the possum, if you had animals speak, so you can look it up on Google as well.
Yes.
You could say, what's the spiritual meaning of seeing a possum or a skunk or a butterfly?
Fox. Yeah, whatever
it might be. And you will get the spiritual meaning behind it.
Mhm.
And you'll start understanding what messages our spirit's trying to give you.
Well, and then a big part of it, what I always did whenever I got a sign or, you know, hit in the head with a hummingbird, I just like look up at the sky and I point and said, gotcha, thank you. You know, because gratitude really plays in.
Yes.
And I'm a true believer that when we say thank you, you know, we're also showing our soul, our spirit, universe, whatever, you know, however you want to interpret it, it's up to you. It's an individual thing. It's showing, hey, I saw it, I got it, give me some more. So just by saying thank you, more is going to come, you know, because if you can stay in that place of gratitude and awareness, the whole world just opens up.
The other thing that I just heard while you were talking is write it down. Get a notebook, a journal, and when you have these synchronicities, write down the synchronicities, you know, the signs, whatever that might be, so that you might not miss what the meaning is. Because as we get on with the days, we might forget, right? We get busy, we forget. But if you write it down, then you can go back and look up the meanings and figure out what it is, or bring it into your meditation if you're meditating, and get some information from the spirit on the other side as to what it means.
Sorry. And what's kind of popping in my head right now too is the spiritual journey is kind of like a bunch of puzzle pieces is what's popping in my head.
Yep.
You know, my journey was very fast. So don't compare your journey with mine. I'm sure other people had fast journeys. Some people are very slow. They're going to give you, but they're going to give you what you can handle in the perfect way for you. I'm a true believer. The best teacher is your soul, your team.
It's so true. And it is a team. And so that's something you have to remember too. It's not just one being on the other side, you know, because we've lived multiple, you may not believe in reincarnation, but we really have lived multiple lives. And in doing so, we build a huge team of beings on the other side that support us, that are there to teach us, protect us,
and our
guide
ancestors,
us.
and
you know,
you know,
angels, archangels, masters, gods, goddesses, they all participate.
But you know, and that is true. And I guess I always kind of feel where people fall short sometimes is realizing your soul is your best guru. Your soul knows everything.
Yes.
We just, as human beings, don't remember. You know, so that knowledge is all within in our soul. You know, we just have to, like you said, go into meditation, take that quiet time to go within. Like my soul came to me one time in my sleep. And I never told you that story. That was
you didn't. But I'll tell you what, Sheri, hang on to that.
Okay.
We did get a text message, and I'm going to read this real quick, and then we're going to go to break. Aaron English says, "Hey, ladies, this stuff is really interesting and helpful. Thank you so much." Thank you, Aaron. I have a question. So I've suffered sleep being paralyzed in my sleep since I was young. Sometime while under, I will get a high-pitched frequency in my ear. Then it's like I'm searching for a station on the radio. I'll hear undertones of voices. When I concentrate, I can zone in on a particular one, but I can never understand what is being said. For a long time, I didn't tell anyone, thinking it would get me a one-way ticket to the loony bin. You're so
Hey,
funny,
we're with you,
Erin.
girl.
And I finally told a couple of people, and then someone mentioned it not long ago to me that it could be clairaudience. Is this true? Sheri,
Yes.
I'll let you go first.
So I would say yes. My ear, so I am a medium, so when let's say if Marla called me for a reading and spirit's with me, my ear hums all the time when spirit comes, or my crown tingles. So yes, I would say that would be a form of clairaudience. It also would be, some people will, none of us, until we're dead, none of us can say for sure, 100% of anything.
Right.
But I do get the high pitched ringing. Some people, to me, I pay attention. Do I always hear the message? Absolutely not. Sometimes people think it's a download.
Yes.
Sometimes it's, pay attention. Some people think it's an angel. But yes, it is
It's communication
or something communicating with you. Yes.
Exactly. Thank you, Erin. We have to go to break. Thank you so much for the message. We'll be right back. Stay tuned for more with Sheri Jewel and myself, Marla Goldberg.
Well, see, and that's what's funny is so many people experience.
Sheri, wait a second.
Oh.
All right, we're clear. You're good.
Thank you. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Keep talking, right?
We can keep talking.
But this is why we're having this talk, because this stuff is happening to so many people, especially right now. I mean, a lot of people believe this is a huge time of spiritual awakening. So just by sharing our crazy stories and our experiences, like Erin, no, girl, you're not going crazy. It's real.
No.
And especially in our sleep, when we're sleeping, I hear full out conversations when I'm asleep, or I'm in them. I'm in the conversations because our brain goes into, beta, theta, all those different waves. And at the theta brain wave, we can actually receive. So that's why it's happening to her at nighttime.
Well, and I get visitations. So pay attention. If somebody is coming into your dreams, and if they're coming in a lot, there's a reason. They are trying to communicate with you. Now, sometimes you don't want that person to communicate with you because of, for whatever the reason might be. Right. And you can let that spirit know too, you're not welcome in my dreams. You need to stay away. There's nothing productive by this going on, and you're not welcome. And you can put your boundaries up, because boundaries are really important when you're dealing with spirits, especially mediumship wise, because sometimes, as Sheri will tell you, they'll just
a party in my house. I'm like, go away.
It's true. And if they want a message to be conveyed, and I had my first medium experience, I had a gal who was murdered, and I was in a place where she was having a fundraiser being held for her in her honor. And so all of a sudden her spirit just jumped in front of me as the waitress was telling me about the story. And my husband, of course, we were together, and she's like, I'm so excited. I'm so happy. And she was all perky about it. And then she goes, you need to tell them how happy I am about this. And so Gary and I went in the back, and we bought raffle tickets and contributed to the fundraiser. And she's tapping me on the shoulder, and I'm in conversation. It's like, not now, but the taps get harder. They get more, more and more and harder and harder. And it's like, okay, finally, this woman was talking, and I was able to interject. She's so happy about this. She's so happy her father's doing this in her honor, and she wants him to know. And my husband's mouth just dropped. He went white, literally as a ghost.
We do try not to give messages when we're out, but sometimes
you can't help it, because
you have to. Yeah, like my soul came to me and told me I was a divine messenger. Sometimes, do you make a practice of going up to somebody in a grocery store? No. Is that professional?
We're not Teresa Kakuda. Thank you. Wait, we have to hold on, Sheri, because we'll talk through the music.
Oh, okay.
So.
You are listening to Guided Spirit Conversations. To reach Marla Goldberg or her guest today, you are invited to call into the program at 1-888-346-9141. That's 1-888-346-9141. If you'd rather send an email, the address is guidedspiritconversations@gmail.com. Now, back to this week's program.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for sticking around. If you're just tuning in, I'm with psychic medium Sheri Jewel. Check her out at Sheri, Sheri, themedium.com, because there's so many ways to say Sheri. I need to make sure you know the right spelling. Welcome back, Sheri Jewel.
Thank you.
So we have been talking, we talked through the break about our, spirit coming to us and having us share things very much like it's shown on the Long Island Medium show. She goes in the supermarket and says, "Oh, I have a message for you." Well, in reality, and as Sheri was saying, we try not to do that, but there are times, there are exceptions where spirit will not leave you alone to share a message because they want that message shown until you share that message. And then once that message is shared, they might just go away. Now, some of them just still want the connection and will keep talking.
But, imagine, I know a lot of mediums that say you should absolutely never do that. But, sometimes there is a divine
Purpose
reason for it. Okay.
Yeah.
We are a messenger for spirit, divine, whatever word you want to give it. What if you said, "No, I'm not giving that message to that spirit"? Okay. But let's say you did. What if you just saved that person's life?
Right.
What if it's a mom that just lost a child, or somebody's gonna go kill themselves, and their mom, dad, child, and spirit comes through? And, so do we make a practice of it? No. I would say most mediums probably have. I've been in a restaurant bar and it's happened to me. And, you try not to do it, but, that was kind of a weird
There are
situation.
the exceptions.
Yeah. So, I was at a bar recently, or we were dancing in a nightclub kind of situation with a group of people. And all I did was say hi to a person. All of a sudden I'm like, "Oh, Archangel Michael's here." And I don't want to talk too much about it, but he'd done a lot of bad things in life. Okay. And the messages that came through, how can I even say this? I shouldn't have brought it up. He killed somebody. Okay. And I had the dead guy he killed with me. And he goes, "It's not your fault because I was going to kill you." It was like kill or be killed.
Be killed. Right. It's like a gang thing.
Yeah. And then, or what, I don't want to know. I really don't know. But then like Archangel Michael came and the guy's mouth drops open. He lifts up a sleeve and he had a tattoo of Archangel Michael. And, I don't want to share too much about this, but the messages that came through for this man, he started crying.
He needed to hear it.
It was actually what I feel was going to happen was he was going to change his way in his life. And he obviously had some faith, so, there was a lot to it, which I don't want to get into, but because I didn't even know I was going to bring that up. But that was a situation where I did not know I was going to give a message. It just was like, bam, you know what I mean? But, sometimes that dead person will come in like that, or that angel will come in like that. And no, don't make a practice of it. Have your boundaries. But you know what? Sometimes once in a while, you might have just saved someone's life.
Exactly. You definitely save somebody's life. And that's what happens with psychic mediums. And with psychics alone, you might, it's happened to me a number of times where I'll be at a restaurant and somebody will be waiting at me, and all of a sudden I just ask a question and they're like,
Yep.
Like, how do you know? And it's not to get into their business. It's not, but
No,
sometimes there's it comes through because something happens, but it's not part, look at, the point is we need to pay attention. We need to pay attention to what
Exactly.
we hear,
Yeah.
and there are signs. So for example, my mother's favorite flower was the bird of paradise. It's a very rare bird. I mean, a rare flower.
Yes.
It just doesn't pop up everywhere.
Right.
But when it does, I know that she's nearby because she knows that's a sign for me to recognize this is hers. It could be somebody's song. There was a woman, I did a wedding. I used to have an event management company, and the mother of the bride walked down to the song, "I Did It My Way." Mm-hmm. Well, for her daughter, that song might be the sign that mom is with her.
Well, it's kind of making myself pop in my head right now. My dad died a few years ago and his name was Leroy. And everybody, like his whole life, like I get that Sheri baby song. My dad always got the bad Leroy Brown.
Leroy
song.
Brown? That's what came into my head.
I mean, even in the nursing, my dad would sing it. Even in the nursing home, the CNA guys, we brought a guitar to my dad in the nursing home because he wanted one. He didn't know how to play, but I guess he just thought he could. And they would grab the guitar and always sing the song to my dad. 1 week after my dad passed, we had this drive, what do you call it? Like a drive up that Super Dog restaurant.
Oh,
It's like,
love Super Dog. Yeah.
yeah, like, you know, it has all the
like-
speakers outside and you place
Right,
your
it's
order
a 50s
outside.
style hot
Yeah.
dog stand where they
So-
come to the car,
Yeah.
not on rollerblades, but or roller skates, but they come to the car with the food.
Yeah. So about a week after my dad passed, I was driving down the street. It's Milwaukee Avenue where Super Dog is. I never go to Super Dog. I think I've been there once my whole life. All of a sudden, I was like guided. Something said, pull in there. So I pull in the Super Dog. Out of every speaker in the place, Bad Louie Brown was playing. So, okay. So that would be synchronicity. Okay. That would be a sign. I was guided to be there. You know what I mean? And to hear like 75 speakers playing that song after a week after my dad died, or we had a party at my boat last weekend. The second song the band played was Bad Leroy Brown. I'm like, are you kidding me? You know, it's like, so yes, songs will be assigned to you or a message. And it's sometimes it will be the, you know, spirit's favorite song. Sometimes your guides or team or a medium, a psychic, whoever may give you a song. It's not always the song. It could be the lyrics. Like look at the title of the song,
Right.
look at the lyrics in the song and see if there's a meaning or message in there for you.
Exactly. Wait, I've got to cut in because Mary said, hello.
Hello,
Will I
Mary.
find a new home? Very unhappy here. And will I hear from the man that proposed to me before? Thank you. This is for you, Sheri.
So her name is Mary.
Excuse me. Mary.
And let's go to one question at a time of that.
Okay. Will I find a new home? Wherever she is, she's very unhappy.
Yeah, but I think she needs to take more effort. I'm a true believer. We have to take the action. So definitely, I definitely feel there's a possibility and that it would happen, but it might take a little more effort and action to be able to get it done for her. On her
Right.
part.
The other question is, will I hear from the man that proposed to me before? My question is why? If he well, because if he proposed and for whatever reason it didn't happen, why would you want to hear from him again?
Yeah, I mean,
But that's neither here nor there.
I think that there's a lack of communication there and that things needed to be discussed and worked out when he was present. I wish I could hear her voice to tap in more, but if he does, it would be quite a while from now.
So here's a question that I'm going to put out for Mary. I don't know why this is coming to me, but the question is should she reach out to him? I mean, if she's interested, would he be receptive to her reaching out?
Right. I would say take the first step, but I feel this relationship ended for a reason. And I think we're not getting the whole story here. I don't want to say too much here. So I think that there's more going on here than just that question. Does that make sense?
So Mary,
And
if it
I
makes
mean,
sense.
if she wants the for sure answer, reach out. If he doesn't reply, she has her answer. I think there's some bigger problems in this situation than we know, because it's just like a text message or however you just got this.
Right.
So
I don't know, Mary, if this
I would
is
say
the
not
answer
right
you
now.
wanted.
Yeah, I feel
This
that
is
like, I don't want to like hurt anybody, right now the feeling is they're on a break. Let's just put it that way.
Sometimes things happen. So one thing I learned a long time ago, things happen, and this isn't a psychic thing, but it is a guidance, a coaching thing.
Right.
Things happen the way they're supposed to. You're in a situation because of something you need to learn or overcome.
Mhm.
So understand that if somebody proposed to you and you were engaged and it broke up, there's always a possibility that something will get back together, but
100%.
the chances are that there's something you need to learn about why there was a breakup.
Exactly.
And to know that if you didn't go through with the marriage, there's a reason for it. Maybe it's opening up the window for somebody better to come along.
Yes.
And I hate to say that this person might not be good enough, but when one door closes, another one opens, and
and
you have to be open for that.
And sometimes if someone leaves you like that and it is really painful and hurts, I've been through it, Mary, sometimes it does happen for a reason, and you're way better off knowing ahead of time than getting
Well-
married, getting through the divorce, I think there's a lot more going on in that situation. So that's more about, we'd have to get into a little more, but sometimes it can be a blessing if someone leaves.
It's true.
You don't see it in the moment that you're going through it, but there's that old saying, like, people come into your life for a reason, season, whatever.
A lifetime.
Imagine, like, if that fell through and you weren't even living together, what would living together have been like?
Right.
Or do you want to get cheated on, or do you want, it to end in a divorce or whatever,
So one of my favorite quotes is, do you know Bashar, Sheri?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
So I love Bashar, and Bashar talks about relationships, and this became a mantra for me, and has helped me so much in all my relationships. And Bashar says a relationship is a relationship till it's not a relationship any longer. Mm-hmm. And that goes into the reason, season, or a lifetime. Yeah. But, relationships are there till they're not. And it has nothing to do. It's not because you're not a good person. He's not a good person, you're whatever, but it could, or maybe you are, but not you personally, but the other person might be. But the point is there's a reason that it ended when it did. And you need to respect that and move on, and just know that time that you're where you're supposed to be because of something you're supposed to learn. There's a gift, opportunity, or a lesson in it.
And the old saying too, when one door closes, a new door opens. Okay.
Right.
But Mary's gonna be fine. She's gonna get through what she's going through. I just think that there needs to be a little more effort for the moving and in her personal life to move forward a little more.
I think that I feel
don't
healing.
Count your happiness. This just popped in my head like loud. You could see how all of a sudden don't, and this is for Mary or anybody or myself even, don't bank your happiness on somebody else. Make your own happiness. It's self-love. If you're so needy that you're only going to be happy because of somebody else, it's time to go inside and have that self-love for yourself and your self-respect, your self-worth, and all of that, because that will raise your vibration up. That will get you in a better flow and alignment, so that synchronicity that we were going to talk about comes into play. Like, once I got on my journey, my life became a roller coaster of synchronicity. I look for nothing. I don't look for interviews. I don't look for clients. I don't look for opportunities. And
they come.
It's just all just shows up. Yeah. So sometimes this pain and hurt is to teach us to love ourselves first.
And it's important because that's what I was going to say when spirit jumped in.
Yeah, so you could tell I was saying really loud. I'm like, oh.
Yeah. So, but we all, we're as humans, we have these holes in our heart. We use people and things to fill these holes. And when you do that, eventually the hole is going to come back, because the person, the thing that you're filling up temporarily, which is making you happy because those holes are filled, will eventually release. When you start filling yourself with your own love of self, your own essence, then everybody else, every experience is just frosting on the cake. And you can't be unhappy because they leave, because a good cake is a good cake, whether it has frosting on it or not. This is my bakery analogy, my metaphor.
In relationships, it's big in spiritual world, I should say, about attachment to people, right?
Or to things.
Yeah. So we have to sometimes we learn to let go. My favorite words are trust, surrender, and allow.
Yes.
Sometimes, we could love someone to death, want them in our life. If they decide to walk, be with someone else, go somewhere else, at the time when you're going through it, I know it's hard. You don't think like this, but when you come out the other end, you realize, what? I deserve a hell of a lot more. And
I deserve better.
Even with, friends, relationships, work. If you want to be out of my life, go. I'll open the door for you. Because you know what? I know better is coming to me. And you were holding too much space in my life.
Yeah. And then here's the thing. They're not paying you enough money to take up that much room in your head.
Yeah. Oh God, what it does to your, psyche is just, it's hard when you're really in love. It really is. Like I said, I've been through it. It sucks, but you do get through it, whether it takes you 3 months or 3 years, whatever, you're going to get through it in the best way possible for you. And it teaches you a lot, and you learn, like I've always said, how can you know what's good if you don't know what's bad? You have to know the, positive and the negative, right? How would you know pure happiness and pure joy if you didn't know pure hell?
Yeah.
You think you know, but you don't. And you're so much more grateful when you've been through the hell, when the good blessings come or the right people, opportunities, whatever come, you're so much more grateful because you know you've seen the other side. You know what I mean?
True. Sheri, hang on to that thought. We're going to be right back. We got to take a break. Stay tuned. More with Sheri Jewel, psychic medium and coach extraordinaire. Stay tuned.
All right, excellent. All clear.
Thank you. That was, yeah.
I mean, we've all been, I mean, most people on the spiritual path have gone through some emotional or trauma or, you know.
Well, as we were talking yesterday, I mean, you know, sometimes you have to find yourself on your knees to ask for help,
Yes.
because when you're in a good place, you're not looking for help. You're not looking for guidance, but then all of a sudden your world opens up and you fall in that hole, in that black hole, and then you're begging for help.
Whoop.
And that's
you know,
where
and that seems to be the key with most people's spiritual awakening. It really does.
it's
You
so
were on
true.
your knees. I mean, I can remember in my son's communion, I was going through something and I remember praying to God during his communion because I was really upset then and saying, God, I'll go to church every Sunday, you know, and I was never religious even, but I was just there for my son's communion. And I'm like,
Right.
I'll go to church every Sunday. 7-8 years later, this happens. I'm like, oh shit, I didn't go to church. Sorry, God. You know? And, but look what I'm doing now. So I think, you know, I was in that church praying, God, help me through whatever I'm going through at the time.
Right.
And I'll go to church. I'll do whatever you want. And now look where I am now.
Yeah.
You know,
And sometimes just saying to spirit, guide me. I will be open to taking your guidance, but then you have to be open to taking the guidance. Don't say guide me and then do what you want to do anyway, because it's only going to
I've
smack
always
you in the
listened.
face.
Yeah, I've always listened. There's only one thing I didn't listen to because it was scary. And I'm like, tell me 3 times. And they did in really extreme ways. And it was still too hard for me to do. But generally, yes. But there's no right or wrong. I mean, some people's path is, you know, pretty like from point A to point B. Other people kind of wind or go through the bumps and
Well,
but you'll always
energy
get back on
flows.
track. Yeah.
Nothing is linear in life. Everything flows. So if you watch a river or a brook, you know, it zigs, it zags, it goes around trees that have fallen and rocks that are in there. And, you know, it just continues to flow. And that's how life is. And, you know, is if you allow it to just flow, then you'll find that you're going to have less resistance.
Well, I find like, you know, you can use the analogy of the river, right? And there's a big boulder rock in the, you know, river. You can choose like, so here's the rock. You can continue to like bang against it, keep hitting
Right.
your head, or you could be like water and you'll just flow around
10
it, you know, and,
Okay, thanks, Matt.
you know, stop fighting life and just flow with whatever's happening to you.
I agree.
You are listening to Guided Spirit Conversations. To reach Marla Goldberg or her guest today, you're invited to call into the program at 1-888-346-9141. That's 1-888-346-9141. If you'd rather send an email, the address is guidedspiritconversations@gmail.com. Now, back to this week's program.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for sticking around. Well, it's charity shout out time. And so I'm going to blindside Sheri with coming up with a charity to support.
Thanks.
You're welcome.
I don't really think it's fun again. I always go back to the community because, you know, with COVID and so many families locally are having so many, you know, troubles. I would just go to your local food pantry, whatever, or, you know, ask somebody at your village or, you know, your community centers, who can I help or what can I do? You know, because everything starts with your neighbors, you know, touch the people that are closest to you.
It takes a village.
Yeah, that's what I would do.
So true. I agree.
And I also like animals. I would also say a dog shelter.
See, Chicago Pause Pet Taxi, Pause Chicago is one of my favorites
Okay.
because it's a no-kill shelter.
Oh, yeah.
And so I just love that organization. When I was in Chicago, that was one of my big charities.
Yeah.
So-
But I mean, there are a lot of people without jobs now in your local communities.
Yes.
You know, kids going back to school. Do they need school supplies? Whatever. You know, it doesn't have to be $10,000, just a little, whatever you can do, you know?
Exactly. And if you don't have the money, offer some support physically. You know, maybe do something that could help somebody
Exactly.
Uh,
If you don't have money, use your time.
Yeah, exactly.
I
So-
think what we were talking about,
Wait,
with
I want to just jump in real quick, Sheri, real quick.
Okay.
Check out Sheri Jewel at Sheri, Sheri, themedium.com to learn about what Sheri does, to connect with Sheri for any of her amazing readings, her sessions. She does gallery readings, she does parties. So check her out on her website. Thank you.
Thank
Okay, Sheri,
What I
let's
was
move
saying
on.
we were talking about going with the flow.
Yes,
The world is messed up right now. Okay. Who's not going to say it's not? So
right.
I really believe that this is a good opportunity where people, are being quieter, staying home. They're not working. They are getting probably sad, depressed, anxiety, all these things. We're all kind of being, or I would say a lot of people are being, you're going to kind of be forced to learn how to go with the flow because there's nothing you can do about this stuff right now. Right. So if you noticed at the beginning of COVID, everybody was so scared. Like you would drive on the car, like it was like a ghost town. You didn't see a car.
Right.
People were so in fear. And now people are getting a little ballsy and they're going out, screw it. I'm going out and live my life because they conquered their fear. So a big thing and part of my journey was I had a fear of public speaking. And a friend of mine threw me into my first gallery was in front of 40 or 50 people with someone that was well known and it was being filmed. And I was having an anxiety attack that morning. I'm like, oh my God. But I know if I didn't do it, and if I didn't step into my fear, I'd be mad at myself. So you guys, the things that you're afraid of, if you're afraid of an airplane or heights, jump out of the airplane. Because when you step into your fear, your anxiety goes away. And all these other opportunities and doors open. I used to be nervous with an interview like this, but once you just step into these fears, your anxiety goes away.
It does.
And
Truly does.
you learn to go with the flow and you just learn to trust more. I mean, you trust everything that just comes.
And trust is so important because you need to trust yourself and trust the guidance you're receiving. But trust yourself. And if you don't trust, if you can't trust yourself because you keep you justifying bad decisions.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason I say that is because that's what I used to
We've
do.
all done it.
Yeah.
But guys, this wasn't easy for us. Trust us. The spiritual journey is not always the easiest thing.
No, and here's the thing: for most people, the spiritual journey it wakes you up by whacking you across the head because with some challenging situations, because it brings you again on your knees so that you can reach out and ask for the help and then hopefully be open to the help you're getting.
But here's the thing too, is if I didn't go through, my own things that I had to go through, or you went through things, how could we help anybody if we didn't go through our own crap and find out our way out of it or help heal ourselves?
Right.
We gain all our wisdom from the adversities and the things in life that we go through. You wouldn't have unconditional love for people,
no.
Compassion for people, non-judgment, all those, virtues and values. I hate to say it, we learn through the tough times.
Well,
if
we
life's
do.
Perfect. You're not looking for anything. You don't need to figure anything out,
Right. And, if you haven't gone through it, how can you be compassionate to somebody else?
Can't teach somebody
I've
or
never
offer guidance.
Right. I've never had cancer, knock on wood, but I have had other, things that have really physically held me back. So now I can put myself in somebody else's shoes and offer compassion with their situations and not say, well, because I don't have it, I don't understand it. And so it can't be real. Yes, it's very real.
Well, it's kind of like, alcoholics, when they go to AA, right? They have a sponsor. Why do they have a sponsor instead of just like the leader of the group? Because the sponsor was an alcoholic or a drug addict or whatever they had.
Right.
They know those triggers. They know what's coming for this person. So they can, offer their insight and their help through that other person's journey. And that's why we go through these things.
Okay. Brianna asked, are you guys able to tell me if my boyfriend's brother's death was criminal? He passed in April. I think we need a little bit more information, Brianna.
I actually, with that heavy of a question, that's more of a private session reading so that we're really tapped in.
Yeah. And also you're not going to want to say something like that publicly. So Brianna, please check out Sheri's website to see about a session.
What I will tell you, there is more to that story. I think there's some details that definitely are not public yet or known. And I'm actually hearing, it's hard because we're not talking to the person.
Right.
What's popping in my head is there a criminal investigation? So if not, maybe that needs to be done, because those two words popped in my head. That's the only way they'll know for sure for their own peace,
Right.
you know?
To have the investigation. So Brianna, if there's not investigation, maybe you might want to implore somebody in the the police force, a detective, to possibly look
Yeah.
into opening it up because if things don't line up, there's a reason for it. And that's a sign as well that you need to look deeper into what's going on.
Yeah. And it's a heavy subject. I mean, I don't want to just throw stuff out there. Because when we do readings, we open up more and
you get more detail. You're able to share more.
Spirit, yeah.
Right.
But I definitely feel that does need to be looked into more, 100%. What's her name? Brianna?
Brianna.
Do you actually think you know who it is, or someone that knew him?
She said he overdosed and they won't release the autopsy.
Well, that's kind of weird. There should be a toxicology report. Right.
And why won't they release it? That's the big.
So the question was, anybody with him? And, that's is it not, it's not always necessarily murder. They could have just been partying with other people, right? I mean.
Well, and here's the thing too, what you don't know is, did the person he got the drugs from that he overdosed on, were they laced? And did with stuff that could do that.
Actually, I do talk to a lot of deceased young people that die, and 9 times out of 10 it's fentanyl.
And they don't even know that it's in the drug. That's what I was getting to, is sometimes it's put in the drug, the dealer doesn't care, which is sort of silly, because why kill off your clientele? But that's another conversation. That's
the dealer might doesn't know where he's getting it from though either. You know what I mean?
Well, that's possible too.
The manufacturer, Yeah, but that's more of a heavy thing. I don't understand. I think she needs to find out what the toxicology report is. I mean, it's family, next of kin should be able to get the autopsy report.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I get a little more demanding on that, because that doesn't make sense. Like the parents or the wife should be able to get that information. I
have to tell you, I feel that it's what I'm hearing, what I'm getting is that whoever sold the drugs, there was something in it that shouldn't be in there. The boyfriend, Brianna's boyfriend, that I don't think he was aware of what was in there.
Yeah, I was hearing like there's somebody else that knows something. So, find out, was he with anybody? Was anybody partying with him at that apartment? Where did he get it from? There is more information I feel that could be found out. But will that person be held liable or responsible? Do they know the drug dealer? They'd have to look at phone records. I mean, that's where get a private detective or talk to the police, get an investigation. Start with the toxicology report. I mean, that should be released to somebody.
Absolutely. They shouldn't be able to hold it unless they're thinking it's criminal and they want to, there's a way for them to go back in time and find out what went on by holding the report.
Yeah. And sometimes, they don't follow through. I mean, it's sad. And sometimes you just have to make peace with the situation because there's nothing you can do. But what's
Brianna, wait, Sheri, I'm sorry. We have to close the show. So Brianna, I'm sorry. We're closing the show. It's over. It went by so fast. Thank you, everybody who wrote in. Sheri, love you.
I love you too.
You're amazing. And I'm so grateful for you coming in, especially at such a last minute request.
Oh, no.
And I know it's a little bit early for you. So I'm so grateful for that.
I got up at 5 o'clock. I got up at 5 or 5:30 this morning. I'm up early, just not hair and makeup done.
So everyone out there, check out Sheri Jewel at Sheri, SHERI, themedium.com. See how she can work with you, help you through her sessions. She's absolutely incredible. Again, she does parties, she does gallery readings. So touch base with Sheri. She also does, little in-store events where people sign up for readings, the customers. So check her out for that as well.
We're doing Zoom events now a lot because of COVID.
Yeah. So check her out. She's going to be able to help you. So again, thank you. Thank you at Voice America, everybody, Matt, Robert, all of you who get the show up and running and on the road. So grateful for you. Bridget, what would I do without you? Left hand, right hand. Thank you so much for everything you do for me. I want to thank you, the listening audience, for taking time out of your day, out of your life to be a part of the show, because this show was created with you in mind. and to bring you modalities and people that you might not otherwise hear of who could help you in whatever situation you might be experiencing that you need guidance with. So thank you. Check out my website at MarlaGoldberrg, and Goldberg has 2Rs.com. See how I can work with you through my intuitive guidance and through my energy work. So please check that out as well. If you like the show, go to YouTube, like, subscribe, write a review, because it's always helpful, and tell your friends about the show, because, well, never too many people to participate in the show, and I'm always grateful for it. So until next week, as always, I send you love, I send you blessings, and I send you gratitude. Know how much I'm grateful for you being in my life in whatever capacity you're in it. And if you haven't heard these words today, I love you. Stay well. Take care.